So, I want to talk about a few ideas I have to make bridges both more useful, so more than built, but also stronger and safer in ways and more environmentally friendly. The first idea I have is to install wind farms and wind stuff in specific places in either nearby or as part of a structure. Now, there's a couple reasons why this might be beneficial. Wind power can reduce the amount of wind that hits a place. That means that there's less wind blowing on the bridge. And wind blowing on the bridge can cause, slowly over time, make the bridge less strong because it makes the bridge flex back and forth. And that slowly can make cracks. It can also make the drive across the bridge not as pleasant. Another thing is that it makes the wind nearby more predictable by taking away some of the energy. And more predictable can mean that people can better model and design a bridge. You could also use the wind turbines as part of the axle bridge as a part of structural support. So some of the weight is actually on the wind turbines themselves, maybe. Even though that means you can make a less tall wind turbine in itself, and the wind turbine can have less, which decreases the amount of efficiency because a bigger wind turbine is usually more efficient. But maybe you can then combine small wind turbines nearby and make them used for structural ones, and larger wind turbines farther out that are not structural, and combine them in sort of a hybrid one, where the small ones still do pay back some of the electricity themselves. In a similar vein is to use wave power so you have less waves hitting the structure and cause damage over a long time. Now, wave power itself is usually has not been as much developed, but this can promote development. It's also maybe not as cheap as wind power, but it can really make something last longer, especially during the very bad weather. And sometimes waves give you more energy, sometimes wind. So by combining the two, you have to potentially store less energy overall than either methods alone. You could even have a buoy or something system that does both wave and wind power in the same tower. Another thing is to use the structure of the bridge for other uses, and that can make it more economical. Maybe some of the structures are used for solar panels, so you can build more solar panels to help support more of the weight. When the solar panels are not that strong, then you add a little bit extra oomph. Maybe part of the bridge is actually a walkway where you have cars overhead underneath, and use that walkway to actually have a building for people to do stuff in, or hang out or play. Even though you have to worry about sound and stuff then. But that could add strength. Maybe it's a giant battery storage facility for something. And maybe you combine different bridges together. So you have a walkway bridge for humans and hang out, and then above it you have a car bridge, or beneath it, or a train one. So it's more multi-use. The possibilities are up to your imagination. Just thinking about that. And also that way it takes up less space. Another one is to promote at reef beds to grow at the base of the building, which has good and bad. By promoting reefs, and I mean not necessarily coral reefs, but there's also like oyster reefs, oysters and stuff like that are disappearing. Other ones, you can make the structure maybe on the bottom more strong by making a wider base and a more solid base. The problem is then it may make repairability less easy. But another bonus is that it might protect it more against wave corrosion and stuff like that from waves hitting it, because waves hit the reef instead. A disadvantage is it might make it less accessible for boats, which also wave and wind power might also in some areas, so you have to think about that. A bonus is that it might give better habitats for animals to clean up water, and it might also help with the local fish economy. A detraction from that is that you might have to disturb it regularly doing repairs and stuff, would that actually hurt the environment? Another idea is to use this whole system with earthquake detection and put other sensors along the bridge to better warn people around, to better predict earthquakes and future problems, better warn people in general of impending disasters. A futuristic idea that might also be able to help is using better AI models. And if you collect more data because you build more bridges with more of a safety measure, it's even better for modeling. And by AI, I mean artificial intelligence or machine learning to better design bridges in ways humans cannot think of and balance stuff, because sometimes actually making something stronger in one area can make it weaker overall because you shift the strength. Shift to where the weak spot is, so there's more stress on the weak spot that ends up breaking faster. It's like all these things with resonance patterns, which is like how waves interact. Get very complicated, but AI models can better predict that. AI models can also better predict, take into account weather, a phenomenon that you can't just base your models on physics. Physics we can do pretty accurately sometimes, but we oftentimes, when we're making just a physics-based model, you forget something like a temperature fluctuation that occurs that weakens material. We forget something here and there where AI models are based on data, and we will data more, so it's less likely that you forget stuff, overlook stuff, because it's just built in the data you actually collected. And you can kind of also combine the best of both worlds. Sometimes to have something that's more based on reality with data, and also has the theoretical physics to make sure that you're just not drawing a random line curve where the AI goes crazy, makes some weird prediction. Because AI can do that. It's not based on physics. Another idea kind of along these lines is that with 3D printing to print out big pieces and sections of the bricks, and robots to make sections of bricks, we can do more precisely than a human being, but also we can make it more customizable in a variety of ways that may make AI modeling more applicable, because we can make it easier to make something custom fit and less standardized than the AI model might actually come up with. So you can let the creativity of engineers and stuff go more wild and figure out how to incorporate wind power, wave power, really safe bricks that dramatically enhance stuff instead of the standardized sections. And with more complicated designs, though, more human error comes in. But with robot makers and printed things, we might be able to get rid of some of that error, or figure out how best to get rid of it. Like, we have each section labeled, so you just have to fit them together in a standardized way. Within that section, it's highly variable because it was made by robots and 3D printing technology. Another idea kind of along these lines is we can use cars that are traveling across the bridge or other devices to monitor the bridge in real time with the sensors, but then we get privacy issues very much. Another idea is to have smart traffic lights that let in trucks and stuff like cars in ways that cause less vibrations on the bridge, because the vibrations of the different cars cancel out. This might make the wear and tear less. Yet another idea is to have the reefs that I was talking about before far, far away from the bridge, or maybe not that far away, but farther away, and not be part of the actual structure holding up, but they disrupt waves and winds and stuff locally that can damage the bridge or keep away other things. Also, we could use the bridges as houses for birds and stuff to live on, and these houses could help introduce falcons and other birds. Yeah, you might be wondering about birds and wind power, but there's a lot of ways to reduce fatality deaths from wind power ones. One is if you just paint the blades of wind turbines in color, they hit a lot less likely to hit the blades in the first place. A lot less likely. And last, an idea is to have the whole thing being kind of a giant device to evaporate water and pull out water from the ocean with its central breeze or heat. And that could make land that has been artificially more dry due to human interactions wetter again and help rejuvenate the water crisis. And the last idea is to maybe have this whole structure as a giant air cleaner. Well, thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers and even 4,000 watts. It's really hard, but with your help, I think you do. Again, thank you very much. Goodbye.